Oh, just let me be clear. I hate water fasting. I hate thinking about it. Hate it. It's an abomination. It's horrible. No, it's just from a chef's point of view, from my point of view as a chef and as an eater and as a cooker, it's painful. It's a painful experience. So my first water fast was I decided to cook the whole time, which made my water fast so joyful. And it was my first time I really understood fasting. It was back in 2011, I think, or 12, I can't remember. And I was with a friend of mine, Tyler Tolman, who likes water fasting as well. And I just remember thinking, I need to cook this whole entire time. And I will cook for everybody 3 meals a day, but I just cannot. I cannot lie around in the sun and do meditation and wait for the fast to be over. That to me is not a joyful time. It was my first water fast and it went for 10 days, 3 days on juice and then 10 days on water. And I learned a lot then from myself now. From then I didn't really learn anything about myself, but I found it very easy to water fast. I found it very difficult to juice fast. I find that very hard and I don't even do it. I'm not interested in it. When my second fast came along, I did 14 days and my friend was doing a 40-day water fast, so I just tagged on the end of it so we could break together. I think it was 14 or 16 days, I can't remember. And he got up to day 30-something and then he had to stop because he was... It's hilarious.
Over 30 days is
you're basically dying. No, yeah. You look like it. He wasn't. It feels like that. I remember putting some honey on his tongue and it was just like, ah! Anyway, so I did that and that was a lot of resting and awkwardness. I didn't really have, I was in Ubud, I was kind of in the forest and it was just like, can't wait to eat, And then my third one started to get really serious. And I was working on fasting retreats. My girlfriend, Rochelle Starr, owns many, 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 many events and retreats here in Indonesia, and people come from all over the world to learn off Tyler at these events. And I was really starting to watch the fasting doctors come in and teach, and I was really around that. And it wasn't until I was really started to connect with Dr. Nicholas Tanchef, who is my hero in blood work, I really started to understand a deeper understanding about water fasting when it came to the mind connection to the physic, to the body. And then I did another fast, and I was with the company of Nick, and it was a 30-day program. And I just remember going into it and Nick said, this is what I suggest you do. You don't move the whole time. You don't do shake and bake in the morning. We don't push lymph out. We don't shock anything. I just want you to lie there the whole time. So I basically, no devices. I had chosen to have no devices at all, no contact with the outside world. And I was around another 7 or 8 people or 6 people that all had devices or in the other rooms, talking to their husbands or their wives, constantly on the computer. And I decided I wasn't going to have any. I was going to write letters to my friends and family. And what was really interesting about that fast, it was the first real time Cynthia understood the how do I say this? The outer skin and the inner skin's memory. It was the first time I got it. And I'd seen it before in fasting retreats, and I'd facilitated many people coming off a fast in fasting retreats. And I've been a co-presenter in many fasting, literally so many. And I'd seen people and heard people talk about these physical outcomes of when you're in the middle of a water fast. And because I had completely and utterly just laid there and watched a bird build a fucking nest for 30 days, drove me insane at one point. I really did see the scarring of memory of my body. So day 6, I had such big pain down in my my bikini line, right down there, right? Pain, so much pain. I was crying, and And I was lying on the couch, and I remember Alex, who's an amazing body relationships like coach, like a osteopath come healer. She just put her hand on my heart. She go, and I was like, I don't know what's wrong. And then she said, like, what happened 6 years ago? And I'm like, what's that got to do with now? You know? And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. We talk about things like that. And I said, 6 years ago I had fibroid cysts. And she's like, there it is. That's the memory of scars in the body, you know, scars on here and scars you can't see. And I was like, oh, yes, it's the same pain. She said, it's okay. We're just going to blah, blah, blah. And the next day came about, and day 8, day 9, day 10, that sort of thing. And it was like day 8 or 9, I had this, and this is when I met my gallbladder, by the way. I had this throbbing.
Gallbladder.
Yeah. I had this throbbing pain where my sternum is, and there's my gallbladder. And I'm just like, what the hell? Why is this whatever this is in my body going, a pain, and then going away, and then coming all day. I'd just lie there and go, oh, it's gone now. And then it would come back, and it wouldn't cripple me or cry. It would just be like, oh, fuck. And I'd just hold it, and I would just be breathing, and my shoulders would sink down, and I'd lie back down again. I'm like, what is this? And then came time for my session that day with one of the healers. It was like, you know, this is your gallbladder. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, the gallbladder represents anger, big amounts of anger. What happened 8-10 years ago, whatever it was. And I'm like, oh my God, my husband became a drug addict. And I was so angry because, number one, he wasn't having sex. I wasn't having an orgasm. I wasn't wanted. He had chosen drugs. I was so angry and violent. And she said, there it is. And that lasted 2 years. For 2 days, I had solid pain in my gallbladder.
Wow.
And after that, and then it just kept going, right? And then there was this stretch of, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years. Oh, the joy, the happiness I had. There was nothing going on. And came to like 17, I think it was the 17th day, which represents 17 years. Which, if you're listening out there, this is a really interesting conversation, because for me, water fasting, I'd only learnt this because I had actually stopped everything outside of myself. Anything that was happening would be written on paper. So it took the work to articulate it, to feel what I was writing, instead of pushing into a computer or getting on a phone or anything like that. So day 17 came along, and that night, Nicholas came and took my blood pressure and just put his hand on my chest, and I just started crying. I said, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I'm really worried I'm gonna die. Like, this is probably too much for my heart, because I do have heart issues. I was born with heart defect. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. He goes to bed. I don't have a phone. I'm all alone. The other people are in their rooms. It's like 1 a.m. I get up in this complete and utter palpitation of my chest, where it's just like I've run a kilometre, and I'm just like, oh my God, I have no one to call. I can't move. My whole body's just moving, and I'm going to die. And I'm just going to die. And I just fell asleep somehow, which I never would have done in the past. I would have just freaked out. I just fell asleep after, I don't know, maybe an hour or something of just pure tears and panic, and not being able to move or call anyone. And that's when I thought, stupid move not to have your phone. But
it was then,
the next morning I woke up, and I was just like, oh, wow, like 2-3 hours sleep. Oh my God, day 17 or day 18. Oh my God, like, okay. Then I went to the morning session, and the facilitator asked me, how was the night's sleep? And I said, it was fucking horrendous. I have just seen Nicholas just now. He's just taken my blood pressure. Everything's fine. But last night, this is what happened, and I'm just in shock, and I really need to stop this fast, because this is not good for me. I've already got a heart defect. This is a lot of pressure on the valve. And meanwhile, Nicholas is telling me this is not a lot of pressure on the valve. This is actually resting the heart for your surgery to get inflammation off. So I've had that there. Then I had my own conflict And it wasn't until I sat there and we were talking and he goes, what happened? Because remember, I had the joy of the years, right? 11, 12. I was just like, woohoo, life's amazing. And this day's 17. So year 17, I just said, like, I don't know, like, what happened 17 years ago? Oh, man, what happened? I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, nothing really. And then they're like, come on, think harder. And I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. It's when I had my first heart surgery. I was 28 years old and I was like, oh, my God, are you fucking kidding me?
That is insane.
And they're just looking at me and like, how are you feeling today? I feel like I just can't believe it. I can't believe this anymore. And that's when I was like, I just want to do 40 days. I just want to do 40 days because I want to go right back to my appendix. I'm just like, now I'm like really connected with the understanding of a deeper healing process from the outer skin and the internal skin when it comes to drinking water only for an extended time. That to me is extraordinary. Mm.
That's an amazing story. It just highlights to me how freaking incredible this vehicle, this body that we've been gifted is. If we just got the fuck out of our own way for a period of time, 20, 30, 40 days, and just let this body heal, it can do incredible things. And the fact that it was like to the day is just, it's just, there's no words that describe that.
I have no words either. I'm still like, now I get it. Now I understand the art of fasting because there's so much literature on it. But if you really look deep into the literature, you'll see, do not move.
Yeah.
Do not move.
Yeah.
Sure, lie in the sun a little bit, but don't lie too much and don't lie in the midday and just be mindful. And no sun gaze. It's just a proper like, you're down, you know, and I get it because you've got to feel. You know?
Yeah. I fasted 30 days last year and we were instructed to not do anything. And you could tell the differences between the people who listened to that advice and the people who didn't. The people who really didn't do anything, like us, like they went deep, stuff came up, you know, and they let things out and they healed, you know, whereas the people who distracted themselves on computers or movies and things, they're not getting into that stuff. You know, they're still distracting themselves from life, from the moment, from their traumas, you know. And when we don't do that and we sit and we look like wilted lettuce on a couch for 6 hours at a time, you know, what do you do today? Oh, I sat there for 6 hours and then I sat there for 8 hours, you know. That's when the magic happens. That's when things come up.